You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. Hope you all are doing well. I think I got cut off at the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. This was the biggest weekend for BC football recruiting. I'm going to get into why it was a big deal on today's show. Now, if you were paying attention to last week's episode, I had said that BC was hosting their first weekend of official visitors. Official visitors are guys that have already probably visited, or maybe because of cost or distance, are not able to get on campus. An official visit is limited by the amount the school can hold. I think the school can hold like 48, 49 visitors through an entire school year. So the school has to be specific. Well, for this weekend, BC picked 12 recruits to come on campus. And going into this weekend, BC had one commitment. Exiting this weekend, BC has one commitment. So the hope that we would see, Jeff Hafley with the let's go Eagle emoji or, some big news coming out hasn't happened yet. And that's the key word here, yet. Because as you all know, I am the Eagle Insider over at 247 Sports. I know that BC is in good shape because I have placed multiple crystal balls this weekend. And I know that there's other guys that I believe will be committing soon as well. So what did this weekend entail? Guys get on campus on Friday. They do they go out to dinner. They meet the staff. They do all that good stuff. They leave on Sunday. We start to see the pictures start to pop up on Twitter. We see them talking about how the weekend went. Those, you can take those for what it's worth. They say that about everything. It's when you get to know the players and get to know what they say that you start to understand where things are going, right? So I work for 247, so I know a lot of you recruitniks out there like this kind of stuff. I placed 2 crystal balls this weekend for 2 visitors. Okay. And you can see, I mean, my Eagle insiders out there, they got this a couple days ago. They know exactly who I put in there, but I'll give you the first one. Keondre Dixon from George Washington Academy in Virginia. I put in a crystal ball. I've heard things are really well during his visit. I know he was really high on BC going into this. I don't see any late suitors. I think he's got some decent offers, but I think BC is in shape to close on him. Just haven't seen it happen specifically yet. So he's one. The second one I did just put up on Eagle Insider. So I'm going to have to tease that one. If you want to find out who I put the crystal ball in, become a VIP member. $42 for the entire year. You get my expert knowledge. Folks, I'm telling you, on Saturday afternoon, I was at Chuck E. Cheese for a birthday party. Don't ever do that. Don't ever go to Chuck E. Cheese. If you remember it as a kid, it's worse than you remember. But I'm there at Chuck E. Cheese, and my kids are playing the games. They're doing the casino stuff, which is horrific there. And I am on my phone the entire day. I am talking to the staff. I'm talking to recruits. So if you become an Eagle Insider for $40, you get all my knowledge. You get everything I know. And if you guys are already an Eagle Insider, hit it up in the comment section so the folks that aren't know that it's worth it. Go sign up today. But anyways, sidetrack here, folks. I got myself off on a tangent here. What I wanted to say was that earlier, at the beginning of this month, I made one prediction, and I made it on this show too, that I said BC is going to land 10 commitments out of this group that's coming up on that was on this month. And I am absolutely well ahead of pace on what's going to happen. Because yes, we haven't seen anything specific, but I know that there's commitments. Okay. So for the folks out there, sometimes you get a commitment that comes up and the staff is tweeting out the emojis and you're seeing a guy and you're like, oh yeah, hallelujah, they got it. I go back to Drew Kendall, right? Remember when Drew Kendall came and they had the Undertaker GIF and all that good stuff? They're also commitments that go underground, right? So there are commitments that I think are going to happen out of this weekend that folks may not know about right away. And that could be a variety of reasons. The kid picks a date that they want to commit to. Last year, there was a kid that he wanted his friends to create a video for it. It took freaking forever. There's going to be commitments coming out of this group that just came this weekend. I'm telling you right now. And I'm not, and for the folks, I get crapped on in the comment section about this. Like, AJ, no. I'm telling you as a journalist, as someone who covers this team, as a fan, it's going to happen. Okay. You're going to get good news out of this weekend. And you just wait. You can thank me later. Okay. So I think this was a big weekend for BC. Now, looking at recruiting news from across the country, a couple of big targets of BC's. There's my buddy, football fan. No one is more positive about Hafley recruiting than AJ. Even Chuck E. Cheese can't interfere with his passion. Hold on a second. I'm not positive about Hafley. My God. Like, I'm not saying that this is going to be like this killer class. I'm just telling you what I know. Okay? Football fan. I'm getting crapped on in the comment section right here. I'm telling you what I know as someone who is connected to the program and the recruits. Okay. So that's my thoughts. And yes, Chuck E. Cheese can't interfere with my passion. I actually wish there was more going on so I didn't have to listen to more of that stuff. But anyways, the names. You've got some players that are around around other schools as well. The big one, Henry Hasselbeck. Obviously, the son of Matt Hasselbeck was at Michigan State this weekend. And I heard the visit exceeded expectations. That being said, I have a crystal ball for Henry to come to BC, and I'm not moving off of that yet. I may if I hear other things about other visits, but right now, he's still my quarterback for BC. Other name, Abina Onwuka. Brother of Chibuzi Onwuka was at West Virginia. He loved it too. But here's the key, and this is the key with BC recruits too. When they go on an official visit, if they say all that stuff and they don't commit, I think of that as a good sign. Like if a player is that floored with a program, they will commit. They're not just going to post it on Twitter. They will commit. So I think when I see Hasselbeck say that, Hasselbeck, I didn't think of what he said as all that great, but whatever. And Wuka, same thing. I still think that there's still a chance that BC, I think I would put Hasselbeck as a really strong BC lean, and Wuka, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens there. But with Wisconsin lurking, that one's a tough one. But in a moment, there are two names that I want to go over that weren't on for official visits. They're names you're going to want to know about because they are very important. We'll get into those in just a moment. But before we do that, let me tell you about our good old friends at FanDuel. Now, it's the NBA playoffs, and if you like watching Caleb Martin fart all over the place right now after he absolutely eviscerated the Celtics, as I want to cry into my coffee every morning when I read the recaps, then you want to go over to FanDuel, because right now new customers get a no sweat first bet of up to $2,500. That's right, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Now, if you want to go over there, you've seen enough out of the Heat. You're thinking the Nuggets are going to go crush them. They're going to cover. You could take the unders on Caleb Martin scoring, or the over on Jimmy Butler, or on or Jokic. You can go over to FanDuel, get all those odds instantly. The safe and secure, easy day. They could create promotions too. Like, as I said, with the new customer no sweat first bet, it's easy to get involved and get paid instantly as well. Now visit fanduel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet of up to $2,500. That's fanduel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This is Locked On BC. AJ Black. For you baseball fans out there, I see you. I see what you got to say. And I'm telling you, I will get to baseball in the third segment. I promise you that. And I got a lot to say about what's going on with the BC baseball team. We'll get into where their current state is in just a moment. But I want to get into recruiting because there was other important recruiting news that happened with BC football this weekend. First of all, Marty Party asked a great question in the comment section that I want to get into because I didn't have it in my notes, but it's something that's really important. He said, I drove by BC earlier today and saw about 50 to 100 kids doing football drills with the coaches. Yep. BC football actually has a number of camps on campus. They had 2 this weekend. They had a specialist camp, so that was kicking camp. I think that was on Saturday, and they had an elite camp today, and which led them to offer and made me feel extremely old. Someone from the class of 2028. I believe they're in 8th grade, but that's what college football has turned into, right? So they had a whole bunch of guys on campus. They were doing drills. They were doing all sorts of stuff. So Marty, you did see it, and they got a couple more coming up, and these are interesting. These are where sometimes they find guys either for the future that they want to offer and get involved with, or they also get guys that that they are more fringy types of players, right? So we'll see what happens from that. I haven't seen any new 24 offers come from the camp, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, the other piece that came up this weekend was there is a new set of top lists, and I always love these, that included 1 offensive lineman, which I know folks are really excited about, and a 4-star wide receiver. So let's get into this. First name you're going to want to know about is Jack Hines. He's the guy on our screen right now if you're on YouTube. He is from Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. He had a top 4 that came out of Florida, Boston College, Rutgers, and Wake. Now, he was just on campus on Wake Forest this weekend. Didn't commit, but he was on his official visit. He also has an official visit set up for Florida, and he had one set up for Kentucky. He canceled that. He also has one he's hoping to set up with BC. He just hasn't set up a date yet. So, local kid, good offer list. I'm curious how serious Florida is on him. Not ragging on the kid. I'm just saying, I think he might be a guy that, they're always like top 4 stars types of guys, but you never know. You never know. So he is should be on campus probably later on in this month, but top 4 for them. So that was one. The other name that popped up, and this is the one I think fans are going to go berserk over, is Keondre Henry. Keondre Henry is a wide receiver from Texas. He released a top 8 that included Purdue, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Boise State, Stanford, and Boston College. He is the number 200 recruit in the country, a 4-star, one of the top wide receivers, and he's got BC in his list. And now you say top 8, right? You're like, who cares? These lists are kind of pointless, but there's more to it with Henry than just a list, because even before he put that out, I knew BC was really high on him, and he was really high on BC because he's got an official visit coming to BC this weekend. He's coming to BC for the 9th. So he's going to be on campus. He's using one of those visits. So some of these other schools he's high on, he's only got official visits to Purdue and BC right now. So BC's in really good shape. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, this is a kid from Texas. Most folks love recruits from Texas. And believe me, when I hear people bellyaching about Massachusetts recruits, give me Texas recruits every day plus Sunday. That's where I'm at. Texas is a whole other ball game out there, and BC's starting to really open some eyes down there. And the reason why Henry is a name you're going to want to watch for, and the reason why they're in contention, and I think in really good contention, is wide receivers coach Darrell Wyatt. Now, we've talked about him before. Wyatt is doing a heck of a job with some of these Texas wide receivers. It's not just Henry. They just had Tyson Turner, who's a borderline 4-star wide receiver on campus. Love where BC stands with him. They have Josiah Martin, who BC's battling Alabama and a few other schools for. There's Ernest Campbell, who has obscene speed, like track star speed. And there's others. There's Heath McCree. There's, there are basically you have for the wide receiver group for BC right now in terms of the class 24, you have Tristan Ward from Massachusetts, and then a whole crud load from Texas. And it's all because Darrell Wyatt, who was an assistant coach at Texas before, has amazing rapport with the coaches down there. He's killing it. So this is a situation well worth watching. These wide receivers that he's going after in Texas aren't just like borderline 3 stars. These guys are borderline 4 stars, all of them with major offers. And I think it's really exciting to see where they're going with that. So Keondre Henry is the cream of the crop, but it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, Ernest Campbell is the one with the elite speed. They've got things all over the place. It depends on how they want to land on this. I think that's a really interesting one. And again, going to Eagle Insider, become a member right now. Get there. I'm sure you'll enjoy being a member, knowing some of the stuff that we're putting up. Okay. Enough football. I see a lot of folks out here probably in rain delay mode as they want to talk about BC baseball. And I have been following along all weekend long, and I got some thoughts. Of what's going on with this team and where they're going to go from here. We'll get all to that in just a moment. This is Locked On BC, AJ Black. Thank you, all of you out there that have made Locked On BC your everyday experience. If you're an everydayer, you guys are the men and the women that make this podcast everything that it is right now. And if you make this your first listen, thank you too. You guys are amazing as well. As I said, we are now in June. This is where I get to take a little bit of a breather here. We will be back on Wednesday. Okay. We're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday up until August when camp starts. Oh my God, we're getting back into football season soon. So just make sure you note that. All right. Baseball. So BC starts the Tuscaloosa Regional against Troy on Friday. And the pitching was not very good. They fall behind, and the batting, though, my God, Joe Vetrano is on another level right now. He had, I saw a stat, and this was before the second Troy game. He had 4 home runs in the first 2 games of the regional tournament. BC's hitting, even with BC's pitching, just not pitching well, almost brought BC back in that game, which was incredible because Troy, we said this on the podcast, there was a bunch of guys on that lineup that are really good, and they showed it on Friday. So BC falls down. They had the tying run up in a go-ahead run, I believe, in the bottom of the 9th, and weren't able to bring him home. They go into the losers bracket, and it seemed like they took it personal because they pounded Nichols in the first game. Nichols just, they didn't look like they belonged. They let up 5 home runs to BC. BC smokes them and moves on to Sunday's game. Now, Sunday, they're still in the losers bracket. They get Troy again. And this game was the complete opposite of Friday's game. It was like you could take like an image of it, and it was like the complete opposite of the other game. You had on Friday, it was a mashup game where everyone's hitting, everyone's launching home runs, and both teams can't get outs. Sunday's game was a pitcher's duel, and Eric Schrader comes in, and after John West, who also had a good game, and the two of them shut down Troy. And then they're up 1-0 on a leadoff home run by Barry Walsh, who led the game off with a home run. That was it until later in the game when BC manufactured 3 runs on some really good base running by the Eagles. They manufactured 4 runs. They're up 4-0. They let up 1 run in the bottom. They eliminate Troy. They get their revenge. So that's great. However, because of college baseball rules, they have to win 2 more games because Alabama's undefeated and it's a double elimination. So BC has to win 2 in a row to defeat the Crimson Tide. And as we record this, it's 9:33. The game, I believe, has not started yet. I haven't looked recently. They just took the tarp off. The game is starting soon. But can BC win? They are starting Andrew Roman, one of their relievers, as a starter. And this is not uncommon in college baseball. It's not that weird. They're just going to have to patch together a start here. That's potential. You have potential to win. Alabama hasn't lost yet. You go past that, you play tomorrow in a must-win game again. Who do you start? So that's a big question. I don't know. You know, the starter from Roger Williams, he's hurt. He left with an oblique injury, and we don't know what his status is. You know, you can't pitch West again. So can Chris Flynn go? I don't know. That's going to be tough. This is a big mountain to climb for BC, winning 3 games in 2 days. And it just shows you what college baseball puts such an advantage on the winning team. Like once you fall behind, unless the rest of the bracket like implodes on itself, you have to do a ton to win. And you just look around the country right now. Auburn, who was a fraud and should have never hosted, they're gone. Clemson, who just won the ACC, is gone. Vanderbilt, who is always a national contender, gone. BC has a big opportunity here. If they beat Alabama, buckle up because they got Wake Forest, every time I turn on one of the games, they're up like 15-1. They're playing at another level right now. But you got to get past Alabama, and then anything can happen. So we'll have to see. Like if you're staying up tonight, the game is on ESPN Plus. You get to check that out. We'll have more of this on Wednesday. We'll talk a brief wrap up of this, and hopefully we'll have a special guest on Wednesday's show that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. And we'll leave a little teaser there. This is AJ Black. Thank you all so much for listening to today's show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure you are following us there for any new episodes. Follow me on Twitter at AJ Black 247, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.